The historical record of 1 Kings chapter 10 functions as an ancient audit of a superpower at its absolute peak. The records detail an annual influx of 666 talents of gold, roughly 25 tons, and describe a capital city where silver was as common as the stones in the street. We can identify the specific structural mechanics that drove Solomon to this position of global influence. This exhaustive list of wealth coincides with the beginning of the kingdom's partition. The moments of highest prosperity contain the specific data points of the coming decline. Deconstructing the three pillars that built this peak explains why the empire eventually fractured. The first pillar is divine wisdom. This success was rooted in a specific, unmerited gift Solomon requested and received from God at the start of his reign. The visit from the Queen of Sheba serves as the primary evidence of this gift's scale. She traveled a great distance to verify that the reports of Solomon's insight were accurate. This wisdom functioned as a global testimony, intended to direct the observer's attention toward the character of God. The foundation of the kingdom's rise was a period of humble dependence on this external source of insight. This diplomatic reputation enabled a secondary pillar, a massive economic expansion through established trade networks. While the text documents this accumulation, the staggering volume of gold creates a spiritual test for the leadership. Managing such a high volume of assets requires a leader to practice intentional detachment to avoid becoming defined by those assets. The wealth meant to support the kingdom became a weight that required constant spiritual vigilance, a standard Solomon eventually moved away from. The third pillar, military expansion, marks the point where the kingdom's trajectory shifted. Solomon began the aggressive procurement of physical military hardware, specifically thousands of chariots and horses imported from Egypt. As this diagram illustrates, the power base of the kingdom moved from a single foundational node of divine reliance out to a sprawling network of external military assets. These horses and chariots represent a direct bypass of previous warnings against relying on Egyptian hardware. Security was now found in physical force. Rapid success can impact a leader's judgment, leading to a state where they no longer recognize their own dependence on others. The military tools intended to secure the borders became the mechanism that eroded the kingdom's internal spiritual focus. Solomon's peak served as a facade for a developing crisis in leadership. 1 Kings 10 acts as a mirror, showing two distinct realities. It records God's consistency in providing for his people, set against the human tendency to mismanage those same provisions. Modern gold shields take the form of professional reputations, career milestones, or ministry success. Are these achievements being used to point others toward God, or are they being used to consolidate personal influence? Success without humility leads toward a preoccupation with materialism and personal control. The focus shifts from Solomon's record to a king whose wisdom is consistent, Christ, reminding us that any boasting is properly directed toward the Lord.